A warm greeting to one and all. Dear friend, myself Dr. S. B. Kishore, welcome you all in our tutorial Programming Logic and Technique, Programming C. And in the today's sessions, we are going to discuss about the conditional process. In the last session, we have covered many concepts by solving certain problems using the algorithm that include the understanding of inputting and computing variable. Then we have seen what is assignment, multiple assignment, and reassignment statement. Then we have discussed what is type sorting and why it is important. Then we have discussed in length about the same type and big type expression, followed by we have discussed about the IPO cycle, and in the end we have discussed about the sequential process. So in continuation part of that, in the today's sessions we are going to discuss about the conditional process and how to form a statement or condition, how to construct a condition using a if statement. Then we will discuss unidirectional branching, then bidirectional branching, and finally we'll conclude our today's session by using a nested if statement. So what is process? As we have already discussed, in general, a process means what? The way in which the statements of the problems are executed. So based on that, we have three types of process. First one is sequential process that we already discussed in our last session. And in the today's sessions, we are going to discuss about the condition process. And in our next session, we will discuss about the iterative process. So what is conditional process? When a flow of sequence depends upon certain condition, then the process is known as what? A conditional process and referred as a branching statement. This statement alters the normal flow of what your order of execution of the statements. So conditional construct may be of following type. It means you can construct the condition by means of having unidirectional branching, then bidirectional branching, then nested ifs, then else if ladders, and finally multi-way branching. So again, the first three parts we are going to cover in the today's session, and the remaining two, that is ladder and multi-way, we will discuss in our next session. So conditional process or conditional construct is based on what? Comparison, and comparison is done by means of the relational operator. Almost all the languages support this relational operator, like greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, and not equal to. Based on a certain language, some languages use this kind of symbols, while others is okay. And meaning is what? Not equal to. And when compare the two operand, when you are comparing the two operand must be of what? The same type for the proper result. It means if you are comparing a number with, you should compare with another number only. But don't ever try to compare a number with a string values. Okay, so you may get some unpredictable results. So we will start today's session by algorithm to find the absolute value of a number. Okay, so first of all we will discuss what is absolute number. So absolute value of a number is never a negative. It means the absolute value of 4 is what? It's a 4 only, and absolute value of minus 4 is what? Again, it's a 4 only. It means in absolute value, we will never have a negative value. So now what is the absence? In this particular algorithm, the number that you are going to accept. Okay, so first step will be what? Accept the number. Then check whether the number is less than 0. If it is so, it means the number is negative. Okay, so that is what we are doing. So by using a if statement, we are comparing, okay, whether the value of number that you have accepted, whether it is less than 0 or not. If it is so, how you are going to make it positive? Simply multiplying a negative number by minus 1 will give what? A positive numbers. Okay, so number is equal to what? Number multiplied by minus 1. Then display the result and terminate the algorithm. Okay. Now here comparison is done by which operator? Relational operator. Okay, that is less than operator. Then remember, this part is referred as what? A true block of this particular statement. It means if this condition is true, then only this statement is going to be executed, otherwise it is not going to execute. Okay. So if statement without having any else part is referred as what? Unidirectional statement. Observe that we don't have any else statement over here. Okay, so in that case, we are calling such statements, okay, is referred as what? Unidirectional statement. It means, again remember, this statement is going to be executed only when this condition is going to be true. Otherwise, nothing is going to be happen. It means there is no chances that this statement is going to be executed. Like we are in sequential process, we have seen all the statements that we have written in a algorithm is going to be executed one after another. But that is not the case when it comes to problem like this. Okay, this statement is going to be executed only when this condition is going to be true. Now take example. Assume that a company gives a discount of 10%. Okay, on a purchase of more than 500 items and find the net amount after the discount. Okay, so we need to find out the net amount. And the condition, what are the unknown values here? The quantity and the rate of each quantity. Okay, so initially assume the discount is what? 0. It means we are not going to provide any kind of discount because there are very few persons who are going to purchase the quantity in greater than 500. Okay, so that's why we are assuming at the beginning the discount that we are going to provide is basically a 0. Then at step what? The quantity and rate. Okay, then find the total amount. So how you are going to find out? Quantity multiplied by rate. Now check whether the quantity is greater than 500 or not. If it is so, we are going to do what? We are going to provide a discount of how much percent? 10%. That is 10 divided by 100. Okay. So discount is available only when the quantity is greater than 500 on a total amount. Okay. Then how to find out the net amount now? That is total amount minus discount will be what your net amount. Display the result and stop. Okay. Now again observe that this statement is going to be executed only when this condition is true. Okay, otherwise nothing is going to be happen. So again, this type of statement comes under what? Unidirectional statements. Now question arises: is it possible to same problem using a bidirectional construct? So of course answer is yes. So now what we are going to do see here? Assume that the problem is same. Okay, so first of all we will accept what? The quantity and rate. Remember, we have not specified the discount value at the beginning like we have done it in earlier solution. Then find the total amount. Now check if the quantity is greater than 500. If it is so, provide a discount of 10%. Okay. Else, it means if quantity is not greater than 500, it means it is less than 500. In that case, there is no discount. Okay. So discount will be what? 0. Then finally find the net amount, that is total amount minus discount, and display the result and terminate the algorithm. Okay. Now observe here, when if statement provide two-way branching by means of what? The if part and else part. This is what your if part and this is what your else part. This part is also referred as what? A true block, while this part is referred as what? A false block. Then such statements are referred as what? A bidirectional statement, means either this or this. Okay. So such conditional statement are referred as what? A bidirectional statement. So depending upon a condition, it will evaluate either true block or it will evaluate the false block. Now, to check number is even or odd. Okay, so how you are going to check? So first of all, you need to accept what? A number. Okay, now which number you are going to call even and which number you are going to call odd? If the number is divisible by a 2, then divisible by 2 means what? On dividing any number by 2, if you are getting a remainder 0, on dividing a number by 2, if you are getting a remainder as 0, then such numbers are referred as what? Even, otherwise they are odd. Okay. Now, in order to perform this operation, we need a special operator called as modulus operator or mod operator. It gives what? A remainder after division. It means 12 mod 4, on dividing a 12 by number 4, the remainder is what? 0. 9 mod 2, remainder is what? 1. Then 8 mod 3, remainder is what? 2. It means when you are dividing 8 by 3, you will get a remainder as 2. Then 2 mod 3, okay? Since the numerator is greater than the denominator, the result is what? Numerator itself, okay? It means now what you need to do? You need to divide the number that you have accepted by 2 and check whether the remainder is 0 or not. So divide a number by 2, okay, and the result will be stored in the R. That is what your remainder. Now check whether this remainder is 0 or not. Okay. If the remainder is 0, then display what? Number is even, otherwise display number is odd. Okay, and stop the algorithm. Next, to check number is divisible by 7 or not. Now, in earlier algorithm, what we have done, we have divided a number by 2. Okay. Now, in this case, what we need to do? We need to divide a number by 7 and check whether the remainder is 0 or not. Okay. So, accept a number, then divide it by 7 and check the remainder. If the remainder is 0, then number is divisible by 7, else number is not divisible by 7. Okay, and stop. Okay, again it's what? Bidirectional statement. Now to check year is leap or not. Okay, so how you are going to check it? So first of all, you need to do what? You need to accept the year, then divide this year by 4 and check whether the remainder is 0 or not. Okay, if it is so, it is a leap, otherwise it's not a leap. So observe that all the previous 3 algorithms, okay, that is even or odd, divisible by 7 or leap year, they are of same type. Okay, in the first case we are dividing by 2, in the second case by 7, and here by 4. Now to find the largest among the 2 unique number, it means we need to check the which one is large, the first one or second. Since we are assuming here the 2 values are unique or distinct, it means their values will not be same. So accept the value of A and B. Now check if A is greater than B. If so, the first number is large, otherwise second number is large. Okay, so it's a very straightforward statement. So after accepting the 2 number, what we are doing? We are checking whether the value of A is greater than B or not. In previous 3 cases, what we have done? We have compared with the constant values. That is whether remainder is 0 or not. Okay, so it is not necessary that in operand, when you are comparing, the operand should be a constant values only. You can also compare between the 2 variables. So after comparing, one result will be true. That is, either the first number is large, otherwise the second number will be large. Now algorithm to find the largest among the 2 number. Now assume 2 number might be same. It means it is not necessary that the values that you are going to input there, they should be unique. So accept the 2 values, then check whether the A is greater than B. If it is so, first number will be large. If this condition is false, it means what? Either number may be equal or the first number is smaller than the second one, or second number is large. So else, if A is equal to B, it means whether the 2 numbers are same or not. If it is so, numbers are equal. Else, what? The second number is large. So observe here, what we have? We have a else if statement. Else if, okay? It is referred as what? Nested if. The if which is written, the if statement which has been written within another if else are referred as what? Nested if. So first of all, we will illustrate this algorithm by taking certain sample data. Suppose the value of A and B are 7 and 5. So 7 is greater than 5? Yes. So result will be what? The first number is large. Now assume both the numbers are equal. So 7 is greater than 7? No. Condition is false. So control will be passed to the else portion. Now here what we are checking? Whether the 2 values are equal. So in this case it is true. So numbers are what? Equal. Result will be the equal. Now the third. 5 is greater than 7? No. Condition is false. So control will be transferred to this part. Now here again check whether 5 is equal to 7. No. Condition is false. Again it means control will be transferred to this block. And here what we are doing? We are displaying a message. The second number is large. So what we have done here exactly, by taking a certain sample data, we are checking the correctness of our algorithm, which is also referred as a dry run. Okay, without using a computer, we are simply checking the statement that we have written whether it is correct or not. Okay, now this is an example of what? Nested if or embedded if, that is one within another. Now it is important to remember in nested if statement, the else clause is always associated with the preceding if statement. So remember, this else is part of this if and not this. This else is a part of this if statement and not this if. Okay, it is always associated with what? A preceding if statement. Now, to check number is positive or negative or 0. So how many numbers you require to accept? Only one. Okay. Now check if it is greater than 0. So how you are going to check? If n is greater than 0, that number is positive. Else, if n is less than 0, that number is negative. Else, the number is what? 0. Now remember, it is not necessary that you should always check first of all greater value, then equal value, and finally the last one. It is not compulsion that you should always use first of all the greater comparison. Since our problem is what? To check positive initially. So that's why we are taking it by writing, but that's why what we are doing here, first of all, we are comparing whether number is greater than 0 or not. If it is so, number is positive. Then second is what? Negative. And that's why we have written in this particular order. Okay. It is not compulsion. You can also write first of all, if n is less than 0, the number is negative. Else, if n is equal to 0, then number is what? 0, otherwise positive. To find the roots of quadratic equation, okay, that is a square plus bx plus c equal to 0. So what is a, b, c? They are the coefficients. Okay. So how you are going to find out the roots? So there might be three possibilities of the roots. The first one is when the value of b square minus 4ac is greater than 0. In that case, roots will be what? The roots are real and different. If the value of b square minus 4ac is equal to 0, in that case, roots are what? The roots are real and equal. Otherwise, it's a complex or imaginary. So first step will be what? Accept the coefficient. That is what? A, b, c. Now, observe that we need to find out the b square minus 4ac thrice. Okay. So instead of that, what we are doing? We are storing the result of b square minus 4ac in a variable set d. Okay. Now check if d is greater than 0. Okay. If so, roots are what? Real and different. So there will be two roots. So x1 is equal to what? Minus b plus square root of b square minus 4ac whole divided by twice a. Okay. And second root will be what? Minus b minus square root of b square minus 4ac whole divided by twice a. Okay, and now display both the result, that is x1 and x2. This is when the value of d is greater than 0. Now, if it is equal to 0, then roots are what? The roots are real and equal. It means the value of b square minus 4ac is 0. The square root of 0 is what? 0. So, what is left? Minus b upon twice a. So, there will be only one root. Okay. So, display that result. And otherwise, it's what? The roots are imaginary or complex. Okay. So all these are example of what? Nested if. Now observe that here there are four statements associated with this particular condition. While in previous case, what we have seen? We have seen only one statement that are associated with the if statement. So remember again, dear friends, it depends upon the problem to problem that how many statements are needed in a particular if statement. Okay. So nothing else. Now, to find the largest among three unique number, okay, we have already seen how to find the largest among the two unique number. Now, in this case, we need to find out what? The largest among the three unique numbers. So, first step is what? Accept the values of A, B, C. Then check if A is greater than B. If so, check if A is greater than C. If it is so, first number is large. This condition is true. But this condition is false. A is not greater than C. In that case, what? The third number is large. Now, if this condition fails, it means it will controllably transfer to this else. And here we are checking whether the second value is greater than third. If it is so, second number will be large. Otherwise, third number is large. Now, we will illustrate this algorithm by taking a sample data. Assume the value of A is 10, the value of B is 7, and the value of C is what? 5. So, check 10 is greater than 7, yes, condition true. Then check 10 is greater than 5, yes. So first number is what? Large. Now take the second example. Second case, 7 is greater than 5, yes. What about this? 7 is greater than 10, no. So it means the value, the control will be transferred to this part. And here what we are displaying? The third number is large. Okay, so result is correct. Now 7, 10. 7 is greater than 10? No. Condition here is still false. The control will be transferred to this else block. Okay. Now check here. 10 is greater than 5? Yes. Condition holds true. So display the result, that is second number is large. Okay. Now take a final case. 5 is greater than 7? No. Control will be transferred to this part. 7 is greater than 10? No. It means control will be transferred to this block, and here what we are displaying, the third number is large. Okay, so results are correct. It means again we have taken what? We have choose a certain sample data just to check the correctness of our algorithm. Now question arises, is it possible to combine these two conditions? Okay, and that is what we are going to discuss in our next. Logical operators. Okay, it helps to combine more than one condition, and basically there are three types of logical operator. One is what? And, or, and not. Okay, and this is basically a truth table of what? Your and table. Okay, so here P1 and P2 are referred as a statement or conditions. So what this table says, if P1 is true, P2 is true, then overall result is what? True. True, false, 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 true, false, 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 false. So instead of remembering this, I will give one small example to remember this table forever. Assume if Mr. XYZ bring a book and pen, then only I will going to allow him to sit in my classroom. Okay, so मिस्टर XYZ ने बुक लाया, यस, पेन लाया, यस, बैठने दूंगा, यस, बुक लाया, पेन नहीं लाया, बैठने दूंगा, नहीं, बुक नहीं लाया लेकिन पेन लाया, बैठने दूंगा, नहीं, दोनों, okay. I hope that you are never going to forget this particular example. So in AND, all the condition must be what? True to get overall result as a true. That is the most important thing. If any one of the condition is false, then overall result is what? False. Okay, so we will see the examples now. Instead of writing if A is greater than B and if A is greater than C, that we have written in US algorithm, we can also write what now? If A is greater than B and A greater than C. Now we will see the another logical operator, that is OR. Now OR says what? If any one of the value is true, then overall result is what? True. Now again P1, P2 are what? They are the conditions or statement. Now again we will take one small example. अगर आपके पास कैश मनी हो या फिर क्रेडिट कार्ड हो तो आप कुछ भी खरीद सकते हो. ओके, कैश भी है, क्रेडिट भी है. ओके, इट मींस यू आर एबल टू परचेस certain item from the mall. You have a cash but not a credit card, no issue. Still you can purchase certain things using your cash. You don't have a cash but you have a credit card, so still you are able to purchase certain things, but now you don't have either, so nothing. So in OR, all the conditions are evaluated, and if any one of the condition is true, then overall evaluation of condition considered as what? True only. Otherwise it's a false. It means any one of the condition, either P1 or P2, overall result will be what? It's a true. Now remember, it is not necessary that you are going to combine only two conditions. You may have a n number of conditions connected with a logical operator and or not, no issue. Now the last one is what? Not, which is simply a negation. If the condition is true, then its negation will be what? False. If it is false, it will be the true. Now we are going to solve the next few problems based on what is logical operators. Same problem, to find the largest among the three unique number, accept the ABC. Then if A is greater than B and if A is greater than C, display what? First number is large. Else if B is greater than C, display second number is large. Else third number is large. Okay, so again we will illustrate this particular algorithm by taking a certain sample data. So in case 1, 10, 7, 5 of values of A, B, C respectively. So if 10 is greater than 7, yes. 10 is greater than 5, yes. So first number is large, no issue. Now 7 is greater than 5, yes. First condition is true, remember. 7 is greater than 10, no. Okay, it means first condition is true, while second condition is what? False. So in AND, what is important? Both conditions must be true in order to consider overall result as a true. Since one of the condition has been become false, so control will be transferred to else block. Okay, so B is greater than C, 5 is greater than 10, no. So it means control will be transferred to else part. So result will be what? Third number is large. Okay, so that's correct. Now take one more sample data. 7, 10, 5. 7 is greater than 10, no. Condition here itself fails. So it is not necessary to check whether this condition is true or false. Okay, since the first condition itself is fail, okay, there is no necessity to check whether the second condition holds true or not. Okay, so control will be transferred directly to the else part. 10 is greater than 5? Yes, so second number is large. Okay, now take one more case. 5 is greater than 7? No, condition itself false, so else part. 7 is greater than 10? No, so again control will be transferred to this part, so third number is large. Okay, again we have taken what? We have choose certain sample data just to check the correctness of our algorithm. Now, accept the marks of 3 papers, okay, and check whether student is pass or fail. Assume each paper is of 100 marks and passing criteria is what? 35% marks in each paper need to be scored by the students. So, unknown values are what? The marks of 3 papers, so accept them. So, assume they are paper 1, paper 2 and paper 3 marks. Now, check condition. If P1 is greater than 35, if P2 is greater than 35 and if P3 is greater than 35, it means overall result is what? Pass. See, this condition is true, this condition is true, this condition is also true. So in that case, result will be what? Pass. And if any one of the condition is going to be fail, then result will be what? It's a fail. Okay. So we can connect more than one condition using the AND or logical AND or logical OR operator, no issue. Now take again sample data. First condition is true. Yes, 40 is greater than 35. Second, 67 is greater than 35. Yes. 75 is greater than 35. Yes. So it means overall result is what? Pass. Now take the second example. 7 is greater than 35. No, this condition itself fails. So there is no necessity to check whether this condition true or false. Okay. So control will be transferred to else part and here it's a fail. Now 77 is greater than 35, yes, what condition is true? In that case, we need to check second. Okay. 10 is greater than 35? No. It means condition is false. So again, there is no necessity to check whether the third condition is true or not. Because overall condition becomes what? False. So ends. And hence, what is going to happen? Control will be transferred to the else part. And here, what we are doing? We are displaying the result fail. Now take the last case. 55 is greater than 35? Yes. 67 is greater than 35? Yes. 10 is greater than 35? No. First two conditions are true, but not the third one. It means again overall result will be what? False, and hence result will be what? Fail. Now accept the marks of 3 paper and check whether the student is pass or fail. Assume each paper is of 100 marks and passing criteria is what? 35% in each paper. The same problem that what we have discussed in the earlier. But again accept the marks of 3 paper and now see how it has been written. If P1 is less than 35 or P2 is less than 35 or P3 is less than 35, then overall result will be what? Fail, otherwise pass. What we have done? We have simply negated our end condition that we have seen in the earlier case. Okay. Now same sample data. 48 is less than 35? No. 67 is less than 35? No. 75 is less than 35? No. Okay, it means none of the condition is true and hence control will be transferred to the else part and result is what? Pass. Okay. Now 7 is less than 35. Yes, condition is true. First condition is true. So there is no necessity to check whether these two conditions are true or not, because OR says that if any one of the condition is true, then overall result will be what? True, and hence display the result what? Fail. Similarly, 77 is less than 35? No. What about this? 10 is less than 35? Yes. It means again one condition is true. So no necessity to check the third condition. Overall result will be what? True, and hence display the result. That is what? Fail. Now last case. 55 is less than 35? No. 67 is less than 35? No. 10 is less than 35? Yes. Condition is true. So overall conditions is what? True. So again display the fail. Okay. Now important again, like I said, if the first condition is true, then it won't check the second condition. Remember, like in this case we have seen, if 7 is less than 35, yes. So directly display the result fail. There is no necessity to check whether this condition is true or false. Okay. Now, if this condition is true and then this condition is also true, Okay, in that case, sorry, if this condition is true and if this condition is false, in that case, you don't need to check the third condition is true or not. Okay, so that is the important thing that you need to remember. So let us revise what we have learned in the today's session. We have seen what is conditional process. Okay, then we have seen how to construct a statement using the if. Then we have seen some of the unidirectional branching statement related problem, then bidirectional related branching problem, and finally nested if. We have also seen the logical operator that were and, or, not, and relational operators. So relational operator is basically useful to compare two values, while logical operators are useful to combine more than one condition. So in the next session, we will discuss the remaining part of conditional process, that is what else if ladder and multi-way branching. These are the references. With that, thank you much. Have a nice day.